I am so annoyed with how the media is portraying the whole situation in Syria. I will admit to a certain extent that while I do support the withdrawal of from Syria, I do not like how so far the process has been going around. I am willing to admit that. I think it's been a mess at this point. But again, nonetheless, I still believe that we should get out of Syria. However, I still find it funny how the mainstream media and a lot of other pundits across America are just attacking President Donald Trump for 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 just simply doing this sort of situation. They say that we're abandoning the Kurds, and so, and that this is a massive betrayal, and that we're abandoning the Kurds to Russia, and so many issues. They even go so far as to say that as America does this, America will suffer a credibility crisis. And every time I see a lot of these articles, it just irritates me. I even see some YouTubers that actually support this narrative. In fact, there have been a few that say that this is the worst geopolitical decision in this decade. I'm willing to say that is not true. I really am not. I don't think that this is the worst geopolitical decision ever made in this decade. That would actually go to Iraq. I mean, after all, okay, whether or not you guys support the war in Iraq or not, I think we can all agree that the fact that we withdrew so quickly and without a contingency plan caused a political power vacuum, which eventually caused the rise of ISIS in the first place. That's a pretty bad thing to happen so far. But nevertheless, let me explain why it's not as big of a mistake as the media turns out to be. Here's the geopolitical situation when it comes to Syria. There are a lot of organizations that are basically committed to the civil war. Not just the Kurds, the Syrian Kurds. And I will be going into depth with them very soon, but a lot of other organizations, from the Syrian government to Russia to NATO to Al-Nusra Front, the Al-Nusra Front, I think that I'm saying that correctly, the Syria opposition, Iran to an extent, and a few others. I mean, it's just a colossal mess at this point. It is such a bad mess. So, let's look into a little bit of the entire situation. The main reason why we're mainly focused on Syria is because of two things. One is because of influence by Russia, and that's been the major talking point ever since the whole Syrian civil war erupted, because Russia has been an ally to Bashar al-Assad for its entire existence. And considering that there's a civil war going on, and that there's this major opposition movement with some people who support a democratic Syria, it would be within our interest to establish such a regime in order to have not only better relations but more American influence in the Middle East. So again, that would make sense. Another reason why we're so involved with Syria is because of, well, the rise of ISIS. They managed to take a huge portion of territory in Syria. It was a pretty big portion. I believe it was like 30 or 40% of the country, and that's not even including the territory they acquired in Iraq, which I think actually also covered a third of the country as well. They just only stopped short of the capital of Baghdad, which eventually they were forced to retreat along the way, and that's when their hold on that territory started to collapse and stuff. But anyway, after we took Al Raqqa alongside the Kurds, that managed to cause ISIS to scatter and be disorganized. And it's further helping with the recent death of al-Baghdadi, who was the leader of ISIS as well as his founder. That alone makes it a moral blow, and further disorganizes the Islamic State from actually being a major threat to the United States or to other countries in the region. But we also have this situation involved with Turkey in the mix, because Syria borders with Turkey. I'm pretty sure everyone already knows that because of the massive amount of news how Turkey was invading Syria, sorry, sometimes I can't talk. Turkey attempted to commit to an invasion of Syria in order to do two things. One, it's the resettlement of Syrians who became refugees and fled to Turkey, and two was to deal with the Kurds, especially their situation with the PKK, which is a communist leftist terrorist organization, and that's been a big conflict for several decades now. So, considering that America is mixed up in this situation, it only makes more sense to withdraw. I mean, let's say, here's the perspective that I will put, that we should be placed in. Here's the idea: you have two girls. These two girls happen to be the Kurds and Turkey, and they're trying to fight over a guy who happens to be the United States of America. And America is in this situation, and the situation is basically the Syrian civil war, and both of these girls are just trying to fight over each other. It's been a pretty long fight for a while, and then they decide to try to get the United States to help them one way or another, and it's kind of places America in the major predicament, because Turkey is a longtime friend, in this case a NATO ally, and the Kurds are also allies too. So, what is America supposed to do? They cannot choose either. They cannot choose either side, because if they do, that would show a good amount of bias, as well as a deterioration of relations that they do not side with. That's a big problem, and that's partly why the withdrawal was committed to place. Although it was also started as a result of Turkey confirming that they were still planning on going into Syria no matter what. So it was best in Donald Trump's interest that they move American troops out of harm's way to prevent Turkey from harming any potential American soldiers in the area. So again, that makes perfect sense in my personal opinion. I mean, after all, invasions like this, the invasion like Turkey is committing right now, which I am firmly against. It basically needs time in order to actually become an invasion. Here's what I mean. Prior to invasions, you need a lot of stuff. You need to plan out a lot of things. You need to plan out attacks. You need to plan out tactics. You need to plan out strategies. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. You need to plan out the number of people you need. You need to plan out the number of bullets, the number of supplies, equipment, food, supply routes, that sort of thing. And that takes so much time. In fact, the attack on Pearl Harbor itself, as well as the attacks after it, were actually planned a few weeks in advance. So, considering that Turkey was going to go along with this invasion, whether or not the United States like that only shows how committed they are, because they have put so much resources into this invasion that they were planning. Now, here are more problems to the entire situation as well, because the mainstream media has been very vocal that Donald Trump has been abandoning the Kurds, which I would say is not true, and that really just annoys me. Here's the reason why. If we abandon the Kurds, then why are we still supplying them with military equipment as well as non-military equipment, financial support, and among other things? Even in terms of diplomacy, we managed to establish a ceasefire between Turkey and the Kurds. We are, despite the fact that we want to pull out of Syria, we still have that commitment to making sure that the Kurds are safe, even if we just rely on our diplomatic power. We even went so far as to almost apply economic sanctions on the Republic of Turkey, our own ally, as a result. And even then, when you discount all of that entire situation, we still have military assets in the area. And no, I'm not just talking about the troops currently stationed in the oil fields, although I'm pretty sure that in the future that as authority is cemented within the area, that American forces will soon withdraw to either Iraq or Afghanistan and probably return the troops home. I'm pretty sure that will be the case. We still have military assets in the area. And what I'm talking about is naval and air capacity. I said that before in my previous video, which talked about the whole entire withdrawal from Syria. We still have those military assets, and I'm pretty sure we still have special forces that we ourselves do not know about that are helping out the Kurds. Just saying. Finally, I just want to get into a little bit more of to further add to what I just said before with how much support we're giving them. There's even public support that's been poured out in favor of the Kurds. This whole media backlash as a result of President Trump's withdrawal only just solidifies that. So again, there's still a major amount of American sympathy for the Kurdish region. Now to look further into the Kurds, here's a situation that I'm kind of annoyed with, because it seems like that it seems like that the mainstream media just wants America to still be this be involved in pretty much every conflict and protect every single ally, which I agree with protecting every single ally, but again, it's really annoying how they tend to forget that Syrian Kurds and other Kurds around the region, such as Iranian Kurds or Iraqi Kurds, are completely different in terms of ideology and especially what they want. Because the last time I checked, while they do want the Syrian Kurds want protection, what they plan to do is to have a federalized Syria. They have no ambition of declaring independence. That is only from the Iraqi Kurds' perspective. They prefer to have their own independent country, while the Syrian Kurds prefer to have a federalized and democratic Syria, gain some autonomy in the process. So again, it's just really annoying how the mainstream media tries to lump all Kurds into this same situation. I'm pretty sure that Iranian Kurds have a different opinion, although they would sympathize with the rest of their brethren as a result, because of the massive persecution that the Kurds have been dealing with for their entire existence, which is completely understandable. But nonetheless, I'm pretty sure that they have their own separate objectives as well as different interests when it comes to the just not only how where they live, but just how they're represented, and as well as whether or not they want to create their own nation state. Which, by the way, I have no problem with them create, but still, that's not the situation that I'm currently talking about. It's just really, it's really annoying with a lot of this mainstream media crap that is constantly pushed, because our original objective was to defeat ISIS, and now it is scattered. It's currently without a leader, or at the very least, they have potential leadership, but at this moment, they haven't made up their minds yet of who the leader is supposed to be. So yeah, we already accomplished that objective. Our goal was not to stabilize Syria. It's not to end the Syrian civil war or anything like that. Our main interest was mainly to promote American influence, as well as to completely end ISIS. And I say we achieve that objective with destroying ISIS. So yeah, I'm again. This only all this shows is that a huge media bias as in terms of the whole withdrawal. Although there was this one article from The Hill that actually said that this withdrawal may potentially lead to peace within Syria. In fact, I will be posting that down in the sources down below. So go have a look at it. It's a pretty good read. Now, the current situation in terms of Syria remains a little bit complicated. Right now, the country has been 8 years of constant warfare. 8 years. And while we still sorry, I can't talk right now. Whew, I need a breather. Ever since we took al-Raqqa and killed al-Baghdadi, ISIS has been completely scattered and near destroyed. While it's true that there's potential for other Islamic terrorist groups to fill in the void, which is something that we need to look into, or at least take a look at, just to make sure we prevent their growth into a major terrorist organization. Right now, I think we're doing good. Currently, we still have troops in Syria, but again, I said before that they are mainly guarding oil in Syria so as to prevent terrorist groups like ISIS remnants from acquiring it as a major revenue source. Although it's been getting a little bit more backlash, but that's a story for another day. Right? As at this moment, the ceasefire itself currently remains in effect. Although there has been a few skirmishes here and there between the Kurds and the Turks. Although right now the United States as well as Russia are trying their best in order to make sure that this ceasefire remains not only permanent, but also abided by between both parties. So right now they're trying to work on that, but so far it's been succeeding despite the massive, or well, not massive, just the skirmishes that have been occurring. Although they have been small. I will say this again, though. Although I still support Donald Trump's decision to withdraw from Syria, I definitely agree with the mainstream media on this, that the process was sudden and that it eventually became a major mess. And this is obviously seen by the Pentagon, who was shocked by this entire situation, as well as not really establishing a plan to talk with Iraq in order to bring troops out of the conflict itself. So that part I agree with, but to continue on with the whole bashing of Donald Trump because he's supposedly banning the Kurds, which I said before he isn't, only infuriates me. All this is just a big hit job on the president. Nothing more. And it's really annoying that the mainstream media has sunk so low. But then again, this is the same mainstream media that has been bashing Donald Trump for many years and has been very vocal against him from the start. So I'm not surprised that, considering that this has been a major issue since he was campaigning for election and eventually become president of the United States, that they would go on to try to attack him as a result. I'm not surprised that Donald Trump still decided to commit to this anyway. And I'm willing to bet that the whole withdrawal will still continue on. Again, it's currently in a bumpy situation, but I'm pretty sure that eventually things will go to head and bring our troops out of Syria and out of the conflict for good. I know that the mainstream media is going to be pissed, and a lot of people within the Democratic and Republican establishment will not support this. After all, Congress supported a bipartisan resolution when it came to opposing the decision to withdraw. But I'm pretty sure that this withdrawal is still going to come in eventually. I'm pretty sure that it will be, and I'm pretty sure that it will bear a lot of fruit as America finally leaves the conflict. While I admit that there will still be some small involvement for the United States still within Syria, in the most part, troops are now going to be out of harm's way in this conflict. My name is Sovian Arctic Truth. Please post your comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, and share with your friends. Also, if you have any issues with how I frame my videos or how I speak or etc., please be sure to post them down in the comment section down below or directly message me up above. Thank you.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains.